the Driveway Podcast.
Hope the Driveway Podcast never comes back at us. Oh shit, we're gone.
Yeah, fuck the other Driveway Podcast. We're the real one that you want to be listening to. Welcome to episode 10. We've made it to episode 10, guys, finally.
Ooh, 10 weeks.
We appreciate you guys joining us along. How do you feel, Danny? Now it's been 10 episodes. How do you feel, man?
This is the first time, I've been talking about doing a podcast since I was for 10 years. And so this is the first time we've really rolled with it. And it feels good to make it to, even though we're not Joe Rogan, it still feels good that we've committed to making a show, and 10 episodes in, man, it feels a little bit accomplished,
And look at the upgrades you've made since the first episode. Just laying in bed, right, dark room, dude, and now you got the setup. Now you got the mic. Dude, looks professional. We're getting.
You know what it is? I forgot I was on camera the other times. I'm so used to being on no video Teams meetings that
it's like a meeting.
I just lay around with my hands in my pants and just do shit. And then with podcasting, you kind of have to be on a camera. So I constantly live in filth. I'm the messiest human being. I'm the messiest human being.
No, you're not.
You've ever, not. Dude. I am so messy, dude. I have. If you could see this desk, it is just journals and books and CDs and just. Because what I do, Dijo, is I go to thrift stores and I just buy everything. Anything that's under $10,
I like used
buy
shit.
it.
Yeah, I like the used stuff.
I like physical media. I really like physical media. So,
well, we got some physical media to shove down your fucking throat today, because we're talking NCAA brackets today. Today's the big day. Obviously, games start tomorrow. So, for those of you listening, we're kind of just going through the last minute decisions, but we're going to go through the brackets. We got our amazing analyst here, Danny. He's your guy. He's got the bracket behind him. He's going to help me fill out mine as well, because I haven't finished mine yet. Doing a little bit too much research and not worrying about the picks. So we're going to start with region by region. We're probably going to start with the Eastern region first. How do you want this to work? Do you want me to say the game first, give some information?
Yeah, let's just you drop the game on me. I'm pretty much ready to go. Okay. If people don't know by now, I'm kind of an addict when it comes to watching sports, and one of the few sports that I love to watch, it's like my lullaby, is college basketball. I will go on ESPN Plus, the shittiest app in the world, and I will just fall asleep to basketball replays on their library. So I've watched all these teams quite a bit, so I'm ready to go and talk about them in detail.
Okay, well, here's an easy one. Just lay it on you first. We got the first seed Duke versus 16th seed Siena. The pick is likely to be Duke, obviously, for most of these 1 and 16 seeds. But if you have any interesting information to give on this, you were telling me earlier that Duke is facing a couple injuries here. Yeah,
so they should have their big man back, but the big one is them losing. The key guys are there. They got Boozer. What's his name? Just had foot surgery. I always forget his fucking name. Patrick Ngungba is the one that got injured in the ACC tournament. But he will. They're saying everything is pointing to him being back in time. Caleb Foster, he's the one who just had foot surgery. He's their guard. But really, all you guys need to know, and all that really matters here, is Boozer. And now you have two Boozers, because now that Caleb Foster goes down, his twin brother's playing a little bit more. If you don't have a big man that's going to be able to stay low to compete with Boozer in the post, the Duke's going to run all over you. Interesting, we saw Virginia, who dominate the boards. We saw them give Boozer a hell of a game. Duke pulled it out and won, but Boozer did not play as well as he usually does. He struggled a lot. They made it very difficult for him. So going into the second round, and we'll get to that other game. Those two teams are the hottest teams in the nation. But unless you have a big man down low that can compete with Boozer, you're not beating Duke.
Yeah.
So Duke's going to roll Siena.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying recently. Obviously, the Duke dick riding is kind of the way I'm going to put it, as people just understand that they They might upset you at a certain point, but they're obviously going to get past these first 2 rounds with ease. Going to this next game, we got the 8th seed Ohio State versus 9th seed TCU. I'm hearing to take Ohio State is kind of what I've been hearing. That's who I have in my bracket. But if you think otherwise, then let me know. What are your...
This one's a genuinely a 50-50 toss-up.
Yeah.
You have the 2 hottest teams in the nation. TCU has won 9 of 11 games. They've done it by playing really good defense. TCU is always one of those teams that they're not going to win. They're not going to win the national championship, but they could give anyone. They could give the team who's going to win the national championship fits. They're just a feisty team. Ohio State they're the set probably just right there with the hottest team in the nation, but they've done it by offense. They're a great 3-point shooting team. They've gotten better on defense as the season goes along. They also are a little bit more experienced, and that's why I really like them. They have the best player on the court in Bruce Thornton, their all-time leading scorer. I just like how they played in the Big Ten tournament, right? I saw the way TCU played and Kansas beat them. TCU's a feisty team, but the 8 or 9 is really tough. You know,
it's very hard. Always been.
You're playing a team that mirrors you in the sense that they have a chip on their shoulder and they feel like they're the underdog too. You have 2 teams that are really talented, really good, usually a Power 5 team, and they're playing each other as if no one expects them to do anything. And you see it you see how the first 4 games go, like Texas and NC State. They go down to the wire because they're so evenly matched. So I'm going to go with Ohio State. Like I said, they have the best player on the court in Bruce Thornton. They have if Ohio State comes in and start making their shots, it's going to be hard for TCU to keep up with them. I like Ohio State.
Okay, yeah, and that checks out from a little bit from what I've heard. It is every 9-8 is going to be closer to toss-up, but I'm really interested in seeing the other 8-9 matchups that you might have a little bit of leverage for. Heading out to St. John's, which is one of the hotter teams that people like to talk about, versus Northern Iowa, which Northern Iowa is known for their great defense. They're not a great tempo team, but they are great at defense. Is there any chance for Northern Iowa to pull off an upset here against the storied St. John's?
So St. John's, the problem with them is if they fall behind, they don't have any offensive firepower. They could go ice fucking cold, Dijo. I mean, they can. You saw that UConn game where they lost like by 30 points. When they're not making their shots, it gets really hard to watch. Like you said, this is going to be a very slow-paced game, very low scoring. The one thing I think I like for St. John's is I don't think Northern Iowa is going to have an answer for Zuby Ejiofor. That's always really tough when one of these bigger schools come into a game like this and they have a dominant big man, a true big, and that's Zuby. I mean, he is just a dominant post player. He's a problem. St. John's, they also can get a little hot from 3, and they can also make something happen at times. But really, for St. John's, what's going to have to work out is they're going to have to get ahead, and they're going to have to just grind out a win. It's going to be very hard for them. But this is the game, just letting you know, this is the game that I have St. John's. I went chalk. This is the game I think I could be wrong. I think Northern Iowa could shock a lot of people.
Really?
Because everyone likes St. John's because they just won the Big East. But the Big East was a really weak conference this year. St. John's, I'm only giving it because of Pitino. He's a great coach. He'll have these guys ready and fighting. But this could turn into a grinder that goes the opposite way for St. John's. Northern Iowa, if they get hot and they get a lead, it's going to be a nail-biter because St. John's, if they fall down 10 points, it's hard for that team to come back into games. So this will be a really tough one. But
that would be impressive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trusting that usually when a team has a dominant big like Zuby, they usually find ways to win. And I'm just... The other thing, too, that is just a really good point of emphasis is when 2 teams have the same style, but one team's essentially a Power 5 and the other one's not, you usually take the team that's got the more talented roster. Usually when you have usually when you have mismatches is when you see upsets happen, when you have like a team that plays shit defense versus a team that is a fiery offense and also has a very competitive, feisty defense. Like when there's a mismatch, and we'll get to like Hofstra and Alabama, mismatch. Hawaii, Arkansas, mismatch. That's when chaos happens. Usually when you have a St. John's, Northern Iowa, two slow-paced, defensive-minded teams, or you have Wisconsin and High Point, two teams that like to burn it and score at will, take the more talented team. It's usually the safer bet.
I like that processing. I like the way that you worded that because that makes a lot of sense. Where it's like these two teams kind of play a similar style. I'm really excited to see how Northern Iowa pops out. I will say, D, that also your camera has lagged a little bit, so is your audio. So I'm not sure if there's like an internet issue or something going on in your end here. But if you're seeing yourself clearly, I do see you a little bit blurry. So I'm not sure if that's on my end or your end or not.
Clearly. I'm seeing me clearly on my end. I didn't notice it. Are you still seeing me blurry?
I am seeing you a little bit blurry, but I did disconnect all of my other Wi-Fi items to try to get you back here.
I could be slowing down here. That could be my bad. Let me know.
That's all good.
Because I don't see any issues on this end. But, where are we? Was that St. John's, Northern Iowa?
Yeah, that was St. John's, Northern Iowa. Next up, we got the 4th seed Kansas versus 13th seed Cal Baptist. Welcome to the dance, Cal Baptist. This is for me, Kansas. I want to go too crazy with it because Kansas obviously has a pretty dynamic roster. And Cal being, I'm not sure if they have the expertise to match up against a first-round team like Kansas.
Well, everyone's blowing Cal Baptist right now because they have a player by the name of Dominique Daniels, and he is a high-scoring guard. He scored 47 points against Utah Valley, which was the second best shooting performance since Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk at UVU. And I would have to say he's also like a true sleeper NBA talent. The problem with him is he's going up against an actual NBA talent, the projected number 1 pick in Darren Peterson. Cal Baptist is not going to have an answer for Flory Badunga. Like, Kansas is loaded, and everyone has been saying, like, Kansas is the weirdest team because they've lost some games that doesn't make much sense. The one thing that I will say about Kansas is when they do play well, they could beat anyone in the country. They've beaten Arizona. They've beaten Houston. Like, this is a fiery team. This is a talented team. Bill Self is also a guy who he's probably one of the best coaches in the game today. So the idea of a potential Bill Self versus Rick Pitino matchup in the second round, that's gold. We live for that. Us basketball fans live for that.
We live for that, dude.
I do think it's mine because it's saying trying to reconnect. So I do think it's my Wi-Fi. But we live for that, and I'm going to pick Kansas here. This is another popular one. Cal Baptist is out of their element, man. They don't have a lot of experience in the tournament.
Exactly.
And also another one, usually when you have a team that hasn't been here and they're kind of new to, this type of environment, it's usually hard for them to kind of compete, especially when they're playing a team like Kansas, who's here every year. So it's just going to be really challenging. The other thing you have to take into consideration as well, Kansas is a very good defensive team, and although Dominic Daniels is a very, 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 very good player, he's going to have Tyrese Proctor on him, and I don't think he's ever been guarded by a guy that's elite level guard at defense like Tyrese Proctor. So I again, take Kansas.
Take Kansas. Yeah, don't get too cute with it. Obviously, the teams that are great defensively are going to make it past their first round. They're not going to have a first round exit. It's all about offenses as we get into the later rounds here. I think is where we start to mismatch a little bit. But I'm really interested in this matchup. This next one of the 6th seed Louisville versus 11th seed South Florida. I'm hearing a lot of traction with South Florida simply because Louisville hasn't kept up in a lot of their recent matchups. But tell me if you think any differently. I have Louisville as a choice here.
Yeah, I like South Florida. So I want people to understand, and this is where we kind of get a little skewed when it comes to where things get a little skewed when we start talking about upsets. Is South Florida is a very complete team. They play in a very competitive conference. With Louisville, it all really depends on if they're going to have Michael Brown available, or not Michael. Yeah, Michael Brown. If he's available, they'll be ready to go. He's one of the hottest. He's one of the hottest scorers in the game of college basketball. He plays his ass off. But you have to remember, Louisville's 7-5 with him, or without him. They're 16-5 without him. So if he's not ready to go,
yeah, wow,
this isn't an upset pick. South Florida's the favorite if he's not ready to go. And Ryan Conwell is a very good player. He's not good enough to win this game all by himself. So that's where I'm sitting with this. South Florida also, something to keep in mind on the South Florida team. They have a guy, Isaiah Nelson. He is an absolute double-double machine. If people follow Barstool, they know that Rico Bosco's been obsessed with South Florida, and he's been talking about this Nelson player for a while. There's an actual good reason for that. South Florida, this kid is a legit post problem, and South Florida is a very, very good team. So Louisville's another team that when they're hot, they could beat anyone in the nation. But again, when they're not clicking on all cylinders, or they're not getting what they need from their point guards and their guard position, it's tough. I'm going to ride with South Florida on the upset.
South Florida, I like the choice of the upset. That's their first upset so far, and that's going to be okay. That plays out pretty well. Next talk, I mean, we have one of our favorites, one of our sweethearts, Tom Izzo, in the third seed, Michigan State, going up against North Dakota State, which you mentioned a little bit earlier. I wouldn't like to think that Michigan State's going to get upset in this first round here against this North Dakota team, but I know that North Dakota has a few studs. They have a few players that can definitely match up. And do you wonder if that's going to be a nightmare for Michigan State? Is there any potential when they lose here?
Look, Michigan State's the most complete team in the nation. Like, they play great defense, they play efficient offense, they have legitimate talent. The one thing I'll say about Michigan State, they've had issues at times when playing, like when they go cold and rebounding after that. They've also are kind of limping into the tournament. They have one of the most explosive players I've seen in Cohen Carr. They also have one of the dirtiest players that I've seen in Jeremy Fears, who likes to blow people. My issue here is that when you have a team that's a Power 5 team that's talented and they're well-rounded and they like to really just their whole things, they like to play physical on you and they like to just grind you and beat you. Like Duke has made a program off of that. So is Michigan State. They rebound well. I'm not saying North Dakota State can't come in here, get hot, and send us all home crying and destroy our brackets, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's usually really hard when you have a very dedicated team that is very physical for a non-Power 5 to, keep up with that, because they're gonna be feeling it all game. And I don't think that anyone on the North Dakota side has probably had a guy like Jeremy Fears, suffocating them. They haven't competed on the boards with a team like Michigan State. So I'm going to take Michigan State. Like I said, this is starting to circulate and get really big. A lot of people like North Dakota State, but I don't see it happening.
I would agree with you. I don't see it happening simply because of the pedigree, but we say that every year. So if the brackets do get busted, then I guess it's just a chance we're going to have to take. But yeah. I'm going to take my chances with Michigan State here.
Disclaimer, this is coming from a guy who's taken Michigan State in the Final Four every year since he was 6 years old, and they've never made it to the Final Four.
Yes, so, oh my God, I know. I had a few years where I was riding on the
I take Michigan State every year.
Yeah, it's difficult. Going into this matchup, this is going to be one of the more exciting matchups for me just because I know that these teams are going to really fight it out. We got UCLA in the 7th seed versus UCF at the 10th seed here. I chose UCLA just because I like their play style, but tell me if I should be thinking differently for this matchup.
Well, this game will not be exciting if there's no Tyler Bilodeau or Donovan Dent. They both missed the time in the Big Ten tournament. They are the two best players on UCLA. If they are not there, UCF will wipe the floor with UCLA. On the other side of the spectrum, Tyler Bilodeau is a great. He's kind of an exciting white that we watch, and he's a big post player, big boy, big white boy. Donovan Dent, potentially one of the best guards in the Big Ten. I think with those two there, they could be a problem. And that's why, UCLA is a really challenging team to pick against because they're always going to be one of the more talented teams on the court. That's never a dispute. Like UCLA is always going to have a talented side five in their lineup that they can compete with you. I've actually seen UCLA live. That was when Matt Barnes tried to fight me.
Matt Barnes, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Barnes tried to fight me when we were getting concessions. But no, UCLA, they are one of the most frustrating teams if you follow them through the regular season because they're like the most talented team in the nation, yet they're playing, feels like they're playing 500 basketball all season long, and then they pick it up at the end when they get to the postseason. A lot of people are excited because this is another potential coaching matchup where you would have, what's his name, the UCLA coach and Coach Hurley on the other end, who are probably the two most animated guys in basketball. However, I really like UCF. They've played like one of the hardest schedules. They're not going to back down from anyone, no matter how talented you are. They have Jermichael Stillwell, who ESPN called him the college version of Draymond Green. He is a very tough player, but they also have Themius Fulks and Jordan Burks. Like, they got talent. A lot of people saw the game. How they got in was they won an overtime game against Cincinnati. This team's just grinded it out all season long. They've played in a loaded Big 12. We said in the last episode, Iowa State was ranked 5th in the Big 12 tournament. They were seeded 5th. Iowa State's a 2 seed in the national tournament, guys. So UCF, they're a tough team, man. I'm taking UCF. I'm not going to go all chalk in this bracket. UCF's my other upset pick.
I like that pick. So right now we have two. Okay. Right now we're looking at. All right, the 11th and the 10th seed both look like they're upset candidates to be the winner. Going on to the number 2 seed, UConn versus number 15, Furman. Is another one of those matchups where I'm not paying too much attention to Furman because I know UConn is just really well coached. Same thing as kind of the Izzo effect where it's like they already earned kind of their first round bye, technically speaking. But, I mean, I pick UConn. I usually pick UConn to go pretty far each year just because I have mad respect for their system.
Legit team, too. Like, they got a bunch of guys. They got Solo Ball. They got Alex Caravan. Like, this is another really talented UConn team that hasn't gotten the love because they're iffy playing. They also got Terrace Reed Jr. Like, they got guys all up and down this lineup here. You said it. They're just extremely well coached. Furman, Furman isn't. I think Furman, was it a couple years ago they upset Clemson?
They did, yes, and that ruined one of my brackets. Yeah, I was an Elite 8 team I had in Clemson.
Yeah, so it's fun because when you have a memory of a team that upsets someone, it kind of sticks with you. we talked about Morehead State. Anytime I see Morehead State, I
Morehead
always
State.
pick them because I think of Kenneth Fareed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not that. There are teams that you could put them in the Sweet 16 and feel confident. Gonzaga's one of them. UConn is another one of them. They're just too well coached, too talented. They've been here before. They also have guys who've won 2 championships on their roster.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
So
they still have that pedigree. They still have that pride in them where they think they can make it pretty far, and they probably should. Okay, so we got the first round of the East done. Going into Sweet 16, or do you want to go to a different?
Yeah, let's go Sweet 16. Let's come to the Final Four.
Sweet 16, we got Duke and Ohio State is the matchup we have at the moment. I'm running with Duke still. I have Duke as probably a Final Four team, but we'll get there when we have it. And then the next matchup after that would be the Kansas or St. John's. So touch on a little bit if you think these two matchups kind of need more information.
Yeah, I think Duke, like I said, I don't think Ohio State has a post player to keep up with Boozer. Duke's just the thing about Duke is they're not just a talented team, they're also a good basketball team. Mm-hmm. They'll play whatever type of game you want to play. Again, if you're going to beat Duke, you have to have someone down low that can create problems for Boozer, which we'll get there. That's coming. So I'm thinking Duke, it'll be a fun game. It'll be a close game. Duke wins against Ohio State. I'm taking Kansas over St. John's.
Kansas over St. John's. Okay, that is the information I was looking for. Tell me a little bit why. Tell me why you're picking Kansas over St. John's.
Flory Budunga, Kansas's defense is going to cause a lot of issues for St. John's offense. I think Kansas could shut St. John's offense down completely. St. John's, besides UConn, they've kind of flustered a little bit when it comes to playing better teams, bigger, well-known brands. Flory Budunga definitely could go up against Zubi Ejiofor and cause problems. Kansas is just the more talented team, and when they have it all together, they could win a national championship. And if I know Bill Self, he will have this team playing their best basketball come this time. This team, and also he will expend everything with Darren Peterson. And if Darren Peterson gets hot, this is a very bad problem for the rest of the nation. If you have a good defensive Kansas team and you have a hot Darren Peterson from the top of the paint, so there's a lot of issues here with St. John's. They're not a perfect team. Obviously, I hate this because I'd love a Rick Pitino and Duke, St. John's and Duke relive that rivalry in the Sweet 16, but I think it's going to be two blue bloods. I think it's going to be Duke. It's going to be Kansas.
It's going to be Duke and it's going to be Kansas. I think that's a very, very it's realistic. Again, we're thinking realistic here, and I think that's what most people's brackets look like. That's definitely how my bracket looks like. Heading on to the other side of that, though, we have Michigan State, the 3 seed, versus Southern Florida, the 11 seed, which we spoke about earlier. Southern Florida technically the upset against 6 seed Louisville. Do you have any idea that Southern Florida goes even further?
No, it's the most Michigan State thing ever for them to come in and belt to ass South Florida and fuck them up in the round of 32, and then everyone for a week is talking about how real Michigan State is. ESPN's playing a million Tom Izzo things, and then they go and they get fucked up by UConn in the next round. So I'm taking Michigan State to win this game against South Florida, and then just to get everyone hyped up just to see Sparty get the shit kicked out of them by the Huskies.
Okay, so that means the UConn versus UCF matchup also sounds like it's going to be UConn over here, so it's going to be UConn Michigan State. Okay, so we're looking pretty chalk in terms of how things are lining up here in the Eastern section. For the Sweet 16 here, we got Duke and Kansas.
That'll be such a good game
matchup. That's going to be such a good game. For everyone wondering, that's the Sweet 16, so we have a little bit of time till then, but it seems like that's pretty certain. The matchups that were leading up before that doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of changes unless St. John's decides to change it up and they go on an insane run. But yeah, Duke, Kansas, I'm still picking Duke here. I think the Darren Peterson, again, we'll see that in the first 2 rounds depending on how productive he plays and how much of a powerhouse he is, but I do think Duke still kind of edges it out here.
Yeah, I'm picking Duke only because I'm too much of a coward. Like, Kansas could win this game. Kansas could also lose in the first round. They've just been on and off. And look, Kansas is an extremely talented team. Duke's an extremely talented team. Big difference. Duke's a very well-disciplined, well-coached team. They're a very good team. If it gets hard for Kansas, I think Kansas will dwindle away. Duke ain't shying away. They played the best teams in the nation. They've had their times where things get hard. Also, Boozer does nothing but win championships. Like, this kid's won a bunch of state championships. He's won an ACC championship now. Like, this team's just got pedigree, even though they're young. And I just think, this is one of the few games that Kansas can't lean on. We're a more talented team than you. And it's going to come down to who's better, who practices harder. And you'll find out that that's pretty much going to be Duke.
I totally agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. And heading on to the other side to see if there is a good competitor for Duke, we have UConn, Michigan State. I just switched up. I originally had Michigan State, but after these last few conversations, I'm wrong with the UConn because I think that feels like the smarter decision. That feels like the team that is more mobile to make it to this Elite Eight section. Do you agree with me on that? Or do you think UConn over Michigan State?
Sometimes you got to take the safe pick, so I agree with you. Michigan State's a really good team. However, Michigan State is very susceptible to being upset. The other thing, too, is if Louisville's full strength and playing the best that they can, Louisville is perfectly adequate enough to beat Michigan State. They have the talent, but we just will see if they're going to be healthy and if they're going to be playing at their best. I don't think there's any chance that UCF, UCLA, or Furman beat UConn. Maybe UCLA if they're at full health and they play out of their mind. But even if you see UCLA play their best basketball, I still think there's a good chance they lose to UConn. If UConn plays at their best, they're in the Final Four.
I like that pick because now that I'm looking at my bracket, I do have a pretty good idea that UConn could make it to the Final Four. Speaking of Duke UConn, sounds like that would be
I'm taking UConn only because eventually Duke's injury problems are going to start to hinder them. And I think the fact that solo ball and you have a pretty talented guard room at UConn with solo ball, excuse me. I just had Panda Express and I'm burping a lot. Isaiah Evans and solo ball. But and I'm also like, I'm probably like just sitting here going the whole time. No, UConn they're going to be healthy. They're going to be full strength. They're championship pedigree. They're just as talented. Yeah. Eventually, there's going to come a time, and I know everyone's talking about this guy being the next level champion, but eventually, Boozer can't do everything himself. And although Duke's going to be a really good team with a lot of talent, they're going to be also playing a team that's won 2 national titles and has a lot of talent. So,
yeah, that's something that people don't think about enough. Yeah, you're exactly right. People don't think about that enough. Where it's like how they can get them far, but how far can it take them? Especially at a level like UConn. UConn's already prepared. In their mind, they're already here. Like they're already making it to the Elite Eight, Final Four. And I think they have that next step where, as a second seed, I'll be pretty excited for this matchup. But coming for us. That sounds like the East is going to be UConn. We have UConn.
People who are saying Michigan State, they're dirty and they're going to be too tough for UConn. If Jeremy Fears, if all you have is Jeremy Fears kicking you in the dick, go through a Coach Hurley practice, and that'll be nothing. Yeah, I think those kids are not gonna those kids are not going to be afraid of some physicality.
Michigan's going to have him wearing cups. Yeah, he's going to have him wearing cups that game.
If Michigan didn't have any problems, I don't think there'll be an issue.
That's a really good way to put it. Okay, heading to the South, which is the bottom left of your bracket, people. One of my favorite teams because they helped me win it last year. Very exciting. And they're back here. There's another first seed. We have Florida versus Prairie View A&M, which is one of the first times I've been hearing about this school. They are the 16th seed. It looks like it's going to be Florida, obviously. We're going through these 16 seeds, almost trying to act like they have a little bit of a chance here. But tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, Florida is, again, one of the favorites that most people are picking.
Prairie View A&M's really tough, dude. They're a hard fight. They can play with anyone though. I'm completely kidding. Florida's going to win by 75 points. There's not even a chance.
You almost fucking had me there too. I'm like,
I know. No, Florida will be in the Sweet 16. Florida will be in the Sweet 16. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. We all saw why they're gonna be fine. They'll be good.
Exactly. They're big. They're well coached, and they're in a pretty easy system here. Compared to Clemson, Iowa, another 8th seed Clemson versus 9th seed Iowa. I did choose Iowa here, even though Iowa is one of the lower scoring. Again, very, very slow pace. I chose Iowa just because I needed a little bit of a toss-up here in this. We'll go through a little bit more of the upset potential here, but I feel like this is the one upset I chose in this region.
Yeah, it comes down to when we were talking about the other 8-9 game. Who has the best player on the court? Bennett Sturts is the best player on the court. He plays for Iowa, and Clemson's also dealing with some injury issues, which it seems like every year they get to the national tournament and then like 2 guys get hurt. Clemson's such a tricky team because everyone thinks of Clemson with that weird Elite 8 run that they had a couple of years back, but this team's usually pretty dead in the water come the first round. So I like Bennett Sturts. This is the first time that I was in here in a new coaching regime. This is a talented team. The Big Ten's a lot of people don't talk about how tough the Big Ten is. There's a lot of really great teams. So Iowa coming out, not being here last year, now they're here again. This is a good basketball team. I think they're going to win.
Okay, so we're picking Iowa here. I'm glad I made the right choice. Going on to the next one here, there's been a lot of talk. I'm not a huge fan of McNeese, but obviously people like to follow the, I guess the rowdiness of kind of their social media and how everyone's believing in McNeese, Amir Khan, versus Vanderbilt. I did choose Vanderbilt here because I've always had a connection to Vanderbilt, and I feel like they have potential this year as a 5th seed, and haven't heard much about McNeese, but tell me what it is I'm missing here, if I should be leaning more McNeese or Vanderbilt is the right pick.
Vanderbilt has one of the nastiest players in the country in Tyler Tanner. Vanderbilt is extremely, extremely talented. They're a really good basketball team. I think they're going to give us no reason to worry. I think Vanderbilt's going to win this game by like 25, 30 points. Okay. To be honest with you, if people didn't watch just a couple days ago, Vanderbilt blew Florida out the water.
Okay,
they beat Florida 91-74 on neutral court. So, like, I think this is more Florida being pissed that they have to play Vanderbilt again come the Sweet 16. That's where I think they're mad that they got fucked over in terms of seeding, because they had to look at their bracket and be like, fuck, we got to play these motherfuckers again in the Sweet 16. Yeah. Vanderbilt's nasty, dude. When you're a guard and you have John Calipari coming up to you and being like, dude, you're a bad motherfucker. Like, this team's just nasty, dude. Vanderbilt's a really good basketball team. People got to watch out for them. People forget too, they went 16-0. People forget that Vanderbilt went 16-0 to start the season, lost 2 of their best players to injury during SEC conference play, during the hardest part of their schedule, and they still managed to go like 8-7. So, like, this team has toughness. They do not back down. They are a feisty group. They're really good.
And usually that wins you, if not one game, then 2, because having a little bit of mental toughness and breaking those barricades kind of just makes you a stronger unit, and that's what college basketball is all about, man. I'm fucking stoked about that. Here's a matchup that has got me a little bit iffy. When we're talking Nebraska 4 seed, Troy 13 seed, there's a lot of people that say this is one of the obvious upsets because of Nebraska's history, and I'm rooting for Nebraska just so they can get their first tournament win in team history. I'm leaning Nebraska here. I'm on the Fred Hoiberg train. Is Troy real? Is this real talk that I'm hearing?
No. Sunbelt's dog shit. Sunbelt, they're a dog shit conference. The MAC and Sunbelt play a Sunbelt MAC matchup every year, kind of like how the ACC, Big Ten do and all that shit. And the MAC usually beats the fuck out of the Sunbelt. And the MAC's not that good. We got 1 or 2 good teams. Miami of Ohio went 31-0. That's what you need to know about the MAC.
Yeah, that's the story. That's the big storyline of this year.
A dog shit team just went 31-0. Look, the other thing too, Nebraska plays an NBA style. They like to shoot a lot of threes. They're also super motivated to win this game.
Definitely, definitely. They're a national story. Yeah.
They've been hearing about the fact that Nebraska hasn't won anything. Let's just call it what it is. Nebraska, I don't think they're gonna be this year's Indiana, where they make a run to the national championship. I don't think they're that good. But they're definitely coming into this game. They could definitely be last year's Indiana, where Indiana made the playoffs and lost to Notre Dame. This could be Fred Hoiberg's year before he wins the national championship. And that will start with them beating Troy.
Okay. Dude, that would be very, very exciting to see Nebraska even climb higher for next season.
Nebraska-Vanderbilt will be a really fun game.
I was just going to mention that next matchup we'll get to. I'm pretty excited to hear what you have to say for that. But here's another matchup where if you're going to talk about a team that's already kind of limping into the next round, a lot of people are going to be talking about North Carolina. And the North Carolina versus VCU. VCU has fucked me in the past several times because I always like to pick them as an upset winner. Tell me if that's true. Is North Carolina not technically a favorite in this game?
Yeah, fuck Shaka Smart. He's lost us all money because he took this team to a Final Four twice. No. Henry Visar is still the best player on the court. North Carolina is still the better team. VCU, they're definitely a grimy team. They could compete with you. They could fight with you. Early on in the season, during the kind of like the early season tournaments that they do, like the Maui Invitational and stuff. VCU played in Battle for Atlantis. They played Vanderbilt around Thanksgiving time, and they played with Vanderbilt. They lost the game, but they hung in there with them. So they have talent. The problem is when VCU plays a more talented team, they tend to struggle a little bit. And I only say that because when they play their conference in the A-10, when they play at Dayton, when they play St. Louis, their wings are a little longer. Their three-pointers are a little better. They're a little more physical. Like this team, when they play teams that they should beat, they beat them. But VCU struggles when they play really talented programs. North Carolina, I know they don't have Caleb Wilson. This is a team that went and played Duke in Raleigh. Look, man, take North Carolina. I could be eating my words. I'm taking North Carolina, but this could definitely.
When you mention it comes to who just has the better style of basketball and the better history at that point. We were obviously leaning towards North Carolina. Let's not kid ourselves that VCU might be a good matchup, but I do have to agree with the idea that they're limping in. When it comes to the second round here of the round of 32, we'll get a little bit better idea of what you think of that. But I haven't been hearing a lot of success stories from North Carolina side.
Yeah, here's the thing: they were 5-3, but I want people to understand too. This happens every year. This happens almost every year where there's a handful of teams that are dealing with injury problems. I said Clemson a couple years. They've had guards go out, and I think even in the Elite Eight, that run when they went to the Elite Eight, their top leading scorer was out during that season, going into the tournament. So, I mean, there's a ton of teams. We're seeing it with Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. We're now seeing it with Alabama, who's going to be without some players, not for injury reasons. But there's going to be these players, these teams that are dealing with injuries. That doesn't always mean a death sentence. Sometimes teams rally around that. They become closer together. A lot of these teams, like in North Carolina, are deeper because they rest a lot more players. It could be a little bit more challenging for a team like Villanova, who plays a 6-player rotation. If they lose a guy, they don't really have anyone coming off the bench. That's not North Carolina. North Carolina recruits. They have maybe 8 guys who can go out there and be just as talented as any player on VCU.
Yeah, that's kind of all I need to hear, because let's I love saying it. Let's not get cute with it. Let's not get cute with it. Let's pick the better team for the better matchup. Going in, and speaking of a better team, Illinois versus number 14 Penn. Illinois coming in as the third seed. I'm a big Illinois fan because I love to root for schools that are obviously from my state or my city. So I am going to be rooting for Illinois to go quite far here. I don't know how far exactly, but Illinois. I'm choosing Illinois here.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say about this. Everyone's going to pick this because every year Ivy League knocks someone out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so nervous because my dog's name is Ivy and she's sitting here. And I just said Ivy League, so everyone just let's talk quietly so she doesn't start barking at me for a walk. Every year, she's staring at me. Every year, so this league has gotten they've gotten the kind of the reputation of being giant killers, right? Mostly because of Yale and some of the work that they've done. I think Princeton has done a couple upsets. Someone beat Kentucky a couple of years ago. Like this league has just done it over and over again. They've proven that they could be giant killers. However, the reason why you watch conference championship week is because the team that was going to be the giant killer was Yale. They were the team that had these outstanding players, these 3-point shooters, this center that was going to be able to be a post problem. What is she chewing? Okay. And now she's starting to throw a tantrum and she's starting to chew shit out. That Yale team lost. And this Penn team is not Yale.
Mm-hmm.
Yale was if this was Illinois versus Yale, I'd say take Yale. Because they're that team that can create chaos. Penn State comes in and they're a one-man team. They got what's that kid's name that just shot in overtime? Was it TJ Power and Ethan Roberts? They shoot a shit ton of threes. That's all they got. And if you want to talk about who's going to be a great offense, Illinois is maybe one of the best offenses of all time. She is barking now because I said her name.
Of course, it's only
I know she's sitting there. She's sitting there freaking the fuck out now. Yeah. No, they got Keaton Wagler. Keaton Wagler is potentially a top 5 pick in the NBA draft.
Okay.
They're a loaded team. Illinois. There's a reason why people are taking Illinois to the Final Four. This team is very talented. They're one of the best offenses of all time.
Yeah, and well coached. Obviously, yeah. This is kind of the prime example that their coach is leading. Yeah. All the Vitches, right? All the European gang they got over here.
Yeah, I'm yelling at her now because she heard me drop the IVY. She can spell her name. She can spell her name.
Yeah, we gotta give dogs more credit sometimes, dude. Yeah.
I know. Oh, she also sees I have a stress ball because this time of the year I squeeze a stress ball because March Madness does that to me, and her eyes
always on his mind, dude.
Her eyes have not.
This
her eyes have not left that stress ball.
Man, it's this time of year.
Oh, I know. It's a panic. It's a stressful because I'm the one who thinks every year I go into this tournament, I think I'm going to have the perfect bracket, and every year I go, I do awful.
Trust me, I am not looking forward to it. After doing so well last year, I'm very scared for the moment to look at my brackets and be like, oh, there I am in last place again, because I'm still riding that high from last season, so I'm not ready to give that up yet. But tell me if I should give up this matchup. I have Texas A&M as the 10th seed beating St. Mary's, the 7th seed, to go into the round of 32. Is that crazy?
Yeah, Buckyball. No, you're not. Texas A&M. This is a team. So a lot of people have talked about. The Miami of Ohio resurgence, right, and what they've done with so little talent. Hold on one second. Ivy. No. She's fucking a crazy.
We're gonna clip that. We're gonna clip that.
I know. She does this to me. She's the bossiest dog. She's like a spoiled little princess. No. So Buckyball. So I think Texas A&M, their preseason projection was 13th out of the 16 teams in the SEC.
Okay.
Their coach has done. He's maybe the coach of the year. Coach Bucky. So they play. Everyone knows they play what they've been known for is a buckyball, right? If you look at St. Mary's almost looks like a Slavic soccer team. They always have some type of big ass white dude that can hit threes. They have another one his name, and I'm gonna fuck this up. Paulius Morauskas. He is everything in this lineup. He is the foundation of their. He's a great shooter. He's kind of the one man show at St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
They're maybe the most boring team. They also got their ass kicked by Santa Clara, and they split with Gonzaga in the regular season. So they've been sitting a lot. They play a slower pace. I like Texas A&M, man. Texas A&M is just going to grind. They're not coming into this tournament with any expectations. There's also no ego on this team. There's like 8 guys that can score the ball on Texas A&M. They play a great team, great disciplined basketball. They're going to come and grind, and they're going to win a game. I think Buckyball prevails here if they get to the second round.
You heard it here first. Buckyball to the second round, which sounds like we're going to get a little bit of Buckyball versus Houston action, unless you have Idaho, the 15th seed, making some sort of noise against the number 2 Houston. I only say that as a joke because obviously the biggest underrated pick for the champion that everyone has is Houston because of the best defense. They're well-rounded. Again, the coaching is one of the best systems in the U.S. I have Houston going pretty far. I did have them going to the championship last year, so that was a pretty exciting moment. But tell me more. I mean, Houston's a lock for the second round, right?
Yeah, I think Houston is a lock for the Sweet 16. They've gotten that far. Now, the one thing with Houston is I tell people to be careful when picking them. Only because Houston is, like with Chris Senack, like they're one of the most talented teams. They also play super aggressive style. This is year 6, year 7, we're waiting for Houston to win a championship, and they still haven't. For some reason, this has become a team where it just slips out of their hands. And Houston will beat up on lesser teams. However, if they get to the championship and they play, say, Florida, or they play a really good... You saw how Florida, with their guard play last year, Florida's guard play, they shot Houston out of that game. They created a ton of issues for Houston. If they had problems with that backcourt of Florida last year, Illinois is going to cause a lot of fucking problems for them this year because Illinois' backcourt is nasty. And Keaton Wiggler could drop 45 on you. He's one of the few college players that could do that to anyone. So, but Houston will walk into the Sweet 16, Dijon.
Houston's going to walk into the Sweet 16. That's mainly what I've been hearing. I'm really excited to get to the later portion to see how far and who their match is. But for now, let's start with Houston and Texas A&M. Houston going on to the next round. We do have them as a lock. Texas A&M is a very exciting story to get their upset done. I'm picking Houston here to face Illinois, which it would be Illinois versus North Carolina. As we mentioned before, Illinois is just a little bit too strong, and I think North Carolina is going to be going into this matchup thinking that they know they're not the better team, and so they're going to have to play up to Illinois style, and I think Illinois is going to come prepared. So I'm looking at Illinois-Houston Sweet 16 matchup here.
Yeah, I don't think North Carolina could score with Illinois. That's the only problem. I think they can grind out a win against VCU. I think unless Illinois goes like historically ice cold and plays very, very not like themselves, Illinois should be able to come in here, and if they stick to the style play that they do, they should blow North Carolina out. So I think what I'm saying and what I think we're on the same page saying, Sweet 16 will be Illinois-Houston.
Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty set just because the lower part of the southern bracket is definitely not. Unless Texas A&M can kind of make us a little bit of a surprise. Otherwise, I think we're going to have to continue relying on a little bit of chalk. But here's an exciting matchup. We're finally going to get to it. Vanderbilt, Nebraska. I did pick in here that I would pick Vanderbilt because how good of a story can you believe that Nebraska would win their first game, and not only that, but their second in the same season. I'm choosing Vanderbilt here because I like what I heard from you before regarding Vanderbilt's kind of status. But tell me, let's get into it. Tell me what you're excited about in this matchup.
No, yeah. Nebraska's been a better team when they're the more talented team. They've struggled against teams with a little bit more talent, a little more firepower. Vanderbilt's got a ton of that. Vanderbilt's the deeper team. They're the better team. I think it'll be a fun game. I think Nebraska's 3-point shooting keeps them in any game, but getting over that hump has always been a little tough when they're not the more talented team. Mm-hmm. Vanderbilt wins this game.
And it's also like you always look back at the teams that don't come prepared. Let's say Nebraska does win their first round game. Is it going to be enough for them to move on to be like, okay, now we're on to the next matchup? Or do you think Nebraska's going to be stuck in that atmosphere of like, holy shit, like we're history, we just, we're the best Nebraska basketball team of all time? Like, do you think that's a worry for them as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I think you bring up a really good point, right? Because shit moves on you fast in the national in these first 4 days. So if Nebraska beats Troy and they're celebrating, don't celebrate too hard, because if you have a bad day, the next day you're playing a basketball game against a better team. Vanderbilt, they know what their expectations are, right? And they have a guy who could drop 30 points at any time. And also, I think Vanderbilt, the one thing I'm scared about with Vanderbilt is I hope they're not looking at the Sweet 16 and they're thinking that they got to get ready for a game with Florida when they have to win 2 games.
Yeah.
And I hope that doesn't get dropped on their head when they play McNeese and when they play Nebraska, because both McNeese and Nebraska are going to be very driven teams wanting to get to the Sweet 16 and create history. That's where I worry about with Vanderbilt. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would like to the pick of Vanderbilt, especially heading into this next round matchup. But the last matchup we have here for the round of 32 is Florida and Iowa. Is there any chance that Iowa can pull off this would-be historic upset? No?
Florida dominates. Florida. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone, but Florida is still a very good team. They're still a dominant.
Big
team,
surprise, right? Big surprise.
Yeah, well, they started like 5-4, and then they went like 6 on a 16-game winning streak when they played in their conference. Florida's just a dominant team.
Speaking, let's test their dominance. Let's test their dominance versus Vanderbilt. So this is the Elite Eight matchup that we have here, Florida Vanderbilt. Do you think that Vanderbilt stands a chance with their high scoring?
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt. I mean, we saw this team beat Florida 91-74. However, there's a lot of people talking about. It'll never be proven. No one will ever admit it. But a lot of people are thinking these teams that are more experienced are going a little less hard in the conference tournament, so they get an extra day's rest. I think that's what Florida did. We'll talk about Arkansas, but Arkansas's got a really tough turnaround where they played late in the day on Sunday, and they got to now travel all the way to Portland to play Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Like that's a really tough draw. So I think Florida. I don't think they were mad that they lost that game. I don't think Vanderbilt beat the best Florida team. So I think if the best Florida team shows up, they're going to beat Vanderbilt. I also say sometimes you got to take a safe pick here. Vanderbilt could lose to either McNeese or Nebraska. There's no way Iowa. Mm-hmm. There's no way Iowa or Clemson are beating Florida.
Yeah. Again, if you pick Vanderbilt to beat Florida and that does happen, you're probably still in the running for that $1 million prize. If you make
you got to be really, really, really confident Vanderbilt is going to beat all these teams and be that team. Like you have to really have some type of like psychic vision. Florida, you just got to hope they win one game.
All right, and then what's your level of expertise in terms of Houston being Illinois? Houston, the 2nd seed, and Illinois, 3rd seed, looking a little chalk still, but do you think that's the possibility? Is that the normal?
I'm taking Illinois over Houston.
Interesting.
So I talked about it. Houston struggled a lot with Florida shooting from outside the perimeter in the championship game last year. Illinois loves doing that. They're potentially one of the best offenses that we've seen in a long time. Illinois is also a pretty solid defensive team. So they could play both sides of the ball. Houston comes in, it's the same Houston team. They're probably a little better offensively this year, so they can get in a foot race with you. However, it's a little different this year around. I don't think their defense is as good as it's been in the past. They're still physical. We've seen against Arizona, we've seen them against Kansas kind of have some lapses in defense. I think this will be a game where like Keaton Wagler goes off, scores like 40 points. Everyone's talking about U of I, and hell, I think U of I could beat Florida. I don't think they will.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I mean that's gonna be the next question, obviously. So we have Florida and Illinois here in the Elite Eight. I'm a big Illinois fan, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to choose Florida here. I think that's just the dominating team of the conference. I rode with them all last year. I'm unfortunately gonna have to ride with them again, just because they're my sweetheart. They're my sweetheart. They got me. Yeah. They got me places that nowhere else has ever gotten me success wise. So I'm gonna keep riding Florida here. And this, unless there's more things to kind of talk about, I think this is purely just seeding again. I think the first Florida is just they're a little bit more of a powerhouse than Illinois would be. And this, to make it this far for Illinois would still be a success, because I think they do want to go out and win more games, but for them to beat Houston would be a pretty big success in my eyes. So I think Illinois making it this far is still a good story for them.
Yeah, and it's just a smart decision. I just think, like, you get to this point of the year and you look at what Florida has leading up to Illinois. Florida's just a better team. Mm-hmm. Move on to the next region. I'm going to kick her out of my room.
All right, we're going to move on to the next region, and he's going to kick Ivy out of his room real quick. The first game that we're talking to is the West, so top right section of your bracket, as you can see behind on Danny's wall there. We have Arizona first seed versus Long Island 16th seed. Again, we'll welcome Long Island to the dance, but unfortunately they're going to be a short-lived dance. Maybe just a one-song type thing, and then off the floor. Arizona is a powerhouse, the same way we talk about Florida, and Arizona is probably one of those teams that is favorited in most people's brackets, but they just have always let me down. So we'll get to how far they go, but if we're worrying about round of 16, Long Island just became a short trip for Long Island.
Motherfucker. Yeah, no. Arizona, like, this would be the craziest story in sports if Long Island wins this game. It'd be like some Chicago men's soccer club beating Manchester United. Mm-hmm. Arizona's going to win that game by 100. With the 8, yeah. I think this is probably the easiest game, the easiest region to pick, because I think Villanova is a really shitty team. I think they just played in a really bad conference, and they have a lot of talent on this team that's being rebuilt. I think Utah State's a really good team. Mason Falsev is one of the better non-Power 5 players, mid-major players. Utah State's going to win that game. Get ready for an Arizona State-Utah State game. Or Arizona-Utah State game. That'll be a really fun game. What's the other game on the... Oh, Wisconsin High Point.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this one?
It's kind of like what I said with St. John's Northern Iowa. Wisconsin High Point, two very good offenses, two extremely really great shooting teams. But when you have two teams that are very similar, you want to always take the more talented team. And Wisconsin's got Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. Those are one of the best 1-2 punches in college basketball. I don't worry about this game at all. I think Wisconsin's going to win by 25 points.
Okay, yeah, that's good, because I had Utah State originally as well, and then I had Wisconsin, because I think, again, you ride with the team that has a little bit more talent. Definitely going to ride Wisconsin there, but heading on to Arkansas, Hawaii, does that travel for Arkansas? Do you think there's any point that they're going to feel a little startled in that matchup, or is this an easy matchup for them?
Brother, this scares the fuck out of me.
Interesting. Okay, so Hawaii's got some ride then.
I love Arkansas. I think Darius Acuff he should be where Darren Peterson is. He's the best guard. I think Calipari, there's people saying Calipari has in Darius Acuff what he had with Derrick Rose.
Yeah, the Calipari is just known for his guards. That guy.
Yeah.
He can raise a guard from anywhere.
However, Calipari has had some blunders when it comes to March. Last year, I think Arkansas was like an 8 seed. Like they kind of limped in to the conference, and they kind of took a lot of people by surprise. Once they got to the tournament, they were a bubble team. They're an SEC champion. They played Sunday. They're in Portland, and they're an offensive team that likes to play down low. They are accurate, but they don't shoot 3 balls a lot. They like to play post play. They like to play field goals. Hawaii is a grinder of a team. They are a very defensive-oriented team. They play a very slow pace, and they wear you down. And Arkansas is going all the way to Portland to play this style with Hawaii. This game scares the fuck out of me. because I think Arkansas is good enough to get all the way to the Elite Eight. They're that talented. And if you believe in a Darius Acuff, which you should, you should be able to pick them to go that far. However, there's always a conference champion that goes down in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why a lot of times it's the SEC, because them and the Big Ten play that late slot, and they're just exhausted. Michigan's got a little better of a go because they're playing in the Midwest region. They're going to be playing in Chicago or close by. I think they're playing in Ohio. So they're not far away. But Michigan's in the Midwest region. Arkansas's got to go all the way to the fucking West. And, they're also playing Arizona out there. So it's tough, man. It's a really tough draw because I really want to take Arkansas to lose. But you have to have balls of steel because Arkansas, when it's all going right for them, they can go all the way to the Elite Eight. They
100%.
could go to the Final Four. They're that good.
So I think we should still pencil. I think we should still pencil Arkansas just to play the safe route. I'm definitely going to be using that advice in more of my other brackets that are more going to be like upset centric. I like the idea of Hawaii versus Arkansas because I feel like that's one that people aren't. They don't have the balls to do it. You know what I mean? They don't have the balls to put that down. They're like, oh, this is going to be an exciting one if it does happen. But let's pencil in Arkansas just for the safer bet because I do think at the end of the day, coaching does matter, and I think coaching can kind of offset a little bit of that travel woes that they're going to face. At least I hope, right? I'm just a fucking 20-year-old kid like this, just talking mad shit sometimes. But going on to BYU versus Texas. BYU is the 6th seed, Texas 11th seed. I've also been hearing a lot of upset talk here with Texas just because of BYU not being prepared enough. But I did end up choosing BYU simply because of player rating. They have one of the best players in the country, so I think that usually puts them up.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas sucks, too. Mm-hmm. They're not good. I don't know how they're here. They're only here probably because the bubble was awful this year. I think BYU should be fine. They've had a long time to kind of rest, number one. And number two, if you look at how they played in the Big 12, they played a lot of teams that are similar to Texas, who are similar in both record and style of play. BYU should be fine. I think DeBonce's too much of a competitor to go out.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna drop some points on Texas. Not saying Texas can't win. They definitely can, but I like BYU. And there's a fun matchup getting set up if you want to go on to the next game, because there's some old time rival that sets up old rivals to play each other.
Yes, I see what you mean here. So we're moving on to Gonzaga 3rd seed versus Kennesaw State 14th seed. I'm picking Gonzaga here because Gonzaga is a pretty good lock usually for the Sweet 16, and Kennesaw State they usually don't have much riding in terms of their nature for sports. Like they are pretty relevant, but they just are not relevant as known for winners. Gonzaga does get upset usually, but this isn't a first-round upset for Gonzaga. Not this year.
Yeah, Gonzaga's usually a team that you can pencil into the Sweet 16. That's all they do is make the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
The thing with Gonzaga, very similar to Purdue, which it's funny that those two teams could very well match up, is can they get over the hump once they get to the Sweet 16 second weekend? Can they get past the second weekend? That's always the question with those two teams. One of them will.
One of them will. That's a really exciting part, actually. So heading on to Miami 7th seed versus Missouri 10th seed. There's another kind of upset potential. I'm picking Miami strictly due to pedigree. I haven't heard much of the Missouri team this year. I do know they have a couple good guards and a great center, I believe, as well. But I'm taking Miami, Florida here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I should lean the other direction.
No, you're not wrong. Missouri's also super injured. They got a lot of injuries, and they kind of rely on one guy right now. Whereas Miami's got a pretty deep and talented lineup full of guys who they're kind of like the Miami football team. They're a collection of guys who came in the transfer portal. Malik Renew, who came over from Indiana. He's probably one of the better players. He's averaging 18 points a game, 6 rebounds per game. They also got Trey Donaldson, nasty player. Missouri relies primarily on Mark Mitchell and they need a guy like T.O. Barrett to go off, who's kind of a streaky six-man. Miami's just got a lot of weapons. Miami's also played everyone tough. They played a really hard schedule, and they played everyone tough. So I'm taking Miami. I think they're going to step up in the big moments.
And you're right. Miami's last few games here. Yeah, I mean, they beat Louisville. They lost to Virginia. They beat NC State, beat North Carolina. So it's not the greatest matchups, but it's definitely a little bit better than what Missouri has kind of been leading with. They losses to Arkansas, Kentucky, losses to Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. So yeah, I do like the idea of Miami moving on here. Going on to this next matchup, if you're anything like us and you watch sports often, you listen to radio shows, Purdue is probably the most talked about team. People love Purdue's spirit. They love how it's mainly all seniors. It's teams that are kind of in like a last strike to be like, hey, we have an opportunity to go win it. Like we're going to go win it after losing it last year. Purdue number 2 seed versus Queens 15 seed. I'm choosing Purdue here just because I'm really excited for their next few matchups. I think they have a really good roster. Unless you had much to cover for this game, we could head on to that next matchup going on in the round of 32.
No. Purdue's got a bunch of seniors.
Yeah.
However, it would be all time embarrassing because in 6 months Queens will not have a school.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting absorbed by Elon. Mm-hmm. Not Musk. Elon the college. They're getting absorbed by another university. I think Elon's had a couple NCAA appearances. Mm-hmm. But no, Purdue, as we'll get into it, they have a bunch of seniors on this team, and they have they have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, two of the best players in the country. So I agree with you.
And how far do you think these players are going to take them when it comes to a round of 32 matchup against Miami, Florida, the 7th seed? Do you think Purdue has trouble here?
No, I think Purdue will be fine. I think they're a team that's played together for a while versus a team full of transfer portals. Miami's definitely going to make this a fun game. I think Purdue, you saw how they beat Michigan. Yeah. I think Purdue, when the time's going to matter, Purdue's going to play their best basketball. I think they beat Miami. They've also played a lot of really good teams. They're not afraid of anyone who's talented. Purdue, they just need to not beat themselves.
That's kind of the biggest question, right? When will they beat themselves, and if? And I'm going to root Purdue this year just because I know after watching last year kind of how things unfolded and how things are always difficult for Purdue in the last few seasons. But I am going to root for them this year. Heading on to the next game here, BYU 6th seed versus Gonzaga 3rd seed. I'm choosing Gonzaga here just because I want to see that Purdue-Gonzaga matchup. But do you think BYU is going to stand a good chance against Gonzaga? I'm sure they will.
BYU, I mean, DeBonsa keeps them in any game. However, BYU lost one of their best players, Richie Saunders. He was kind of the big three of that with him and Robert Wright, the third, and DeBonsa. So they've lost one of the big three. Jay Huff should be back for Gonzaga. Gonzaga, they're just, like I said, they make the Sweet 16. Don't bet against them.
Don't bet against them. Okay, you heard it here. Going on to Arkansas versus Wisconsin. Could be technically Hawaii. Wisconsin is kind of the talk we've been having, but we're going to roll with Arkansas. I do have Arkansas advancing in this matchup because at that point they're going to be a little bit more prepared. Do you agree with that? Do you think Arkansas versus Wisconsin is kind of a good lock for Arkansas?
Brother, I think Wisconsin's good enough to make the Elite Eight.
Okay.
They've been a problem for a lot of really good teams. However, I like Arkansas because I don't know if Wisconsin's going to be able to slow down defensively Darius Acuff. I just really believe in this Arkansas team, and it's going to burn me, and I know it. Mm-hmm. And I want people to look at me right now and look how just worn out I look and how strung out I look.
Yeah.
Because every night I'm sleeping thinking about Arkansas's flight to Portland, and every night I'm thinking about how bad this West region can go for me. I believe in Arkansas, so I think I'm going to take them to win this game.
Okay, so you have Arkansas advancing. That would put Arizona versus Arkansas over here for the next matchup. I'm still going to roll with Arizona. I think Arizona has a strong chance here. Should I be worried about what Arkansas can do to Arizona, or is Arizona still the favorite?
This is where I get away from chalk. I'm taking Arkansas against Arizona.
Okay, now let me switch. What would happen if it was Wisconsin versus Arizona?
I think Wisconsin beats Arizona too.
Interesting. Okay.
Arizona's the most complete team, but eventually your inability to shoot a 3-pointer is gonna hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And teams like Arkansas and Wisconsin, who can knock down the threes in an efficient pace, are going to look at that Arizona team and be like, "Oh yeah, it's a math equation."
Yeah.
If we go out there and we hit our threes,
yeah.
Like if we go out there and hit our threes, this team that doesn't shoot 3-pointers and can't hit 3-pointers can't keep up with us.
Yeah, no need to sugarcoat
Arizona. Yeah, Arizona's a good team. They got good players. Brandon Burries and Koa Pete are extremely fun guys. I could be sitting here. Arkansas could lose to Hawaii. Wisconsin could lose the High Point, and we're sitting here all chalk with Arizona in the Final Four. I'm choosing Calipari on this one, and it's going to bite me in the ass, but I'm taking Arkansas.
I'm really excited for that because we're going to get to a pretty exciting matchup here after we talk about Purdue-Gonzaga. I'm going to ride Purdue here. I'm going to ride Purdue because I'm rooting for Purdue in a weird fashion for some reason. But what are your kind of standings here? Because this is going to be one of, let's say, if we could name 5 really important matchups that can kind of shake up how things play out, I think this Purdue-Gonzaga game could really show up.
Yeah, when Michigan beat Gonzaga by 1,000,000 points earlier in the season, everyone thought Michigan's the greatest college basketball team of all time. I think what people weren't saying is Gonzaga's just not that good.
Yeah.
They're good enough to win the West Coast Conference. They're good enough to get to the Sweet 16. I don't think they're good enough to beat Purdue. Purdue, they have the guys, right? They have a true point guard, a true quarterback in Braden Smith. This team, they're experienced. They play together. Purdue's going to beat Gonzaga, and I think they beat Gonzaga by 10 or 15 points if they.
Okay, so Purdue-Gonzaga, who is making it out of this side of the bracket here? Do we have Arkansas or Purdue, or technically a little bit of Arizona? I'll sprinkle Arizona in there just in case, just because some of these matchups we're getting into more of like the fun upset theory. But yeah, Purdue versus Arkansas.
I don't think it's an upset. I have a lot of faith that Purdue gets to the Final Four.
Okay.
I think Purdue is a good enough team where you could have flip-flopped this. If they didn't play like shit for the middle of that season, if they didn't have those little like trip over your foot moments, they're just as good of a team as Arizona. Like, and also preseason said they were picked number 1 in the preseason. So, like, this is a talented team, even if it's Arizona. Purdue, I have all the faith in the world this team's in the Final Four.
I'm going to roll with you on that. So we're going to slide Purdue right to the Final Four, and we're going to head on to our last part of the bracket. We are talking Midwest section. This is the original of Michigan. First matchup is Michigan versus Howard. Again, if there's topics to go over, then we'll go over them. But I'm picking Michigan here.
Yeah, no, move over with Michigan. This is a tricky This was the trickiest part region. Okay. This is a hard region. So, but Michigan's not the tricky part. So.
Yeah. So the next part is Georgia versus St. Louis. I do pick Georgia here.
Yeah.
I just think Georgia has a little bit of a better roster than what St. Louis is offering. A couple of more important wins. Tell me more.
St. Louis is also playing like shit. Mm-hmm. The last couple games, they're here because they won like their first 27 out of 28 games. They have the big white Kareem. I think they call him Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. Robbie Avila. That's their team. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Georgia has an extremely efficient offense. They're a very good team. They're battle tested, and they beat some of the best teams in the nation. Georgia's going to beat St. Louis, and they're going to beat them bad. This won't be a problem for Georgia.
Okay, going on to the next one, we have Texas Tech 50 versus Akron 12. I'm hearing a lot of Akron.
Yeah, we heard a lot of Akron last year.
Zips.
Look, everyone was talking Akron. I'm not impressed that they hit a game-winning bucket against Toledo because Toledo's dog shit.
Yeah.
And they needed a buzzer beater. Akron was the team that everyone picked last year, and they got the absolute shit kicked out of them by a better team. Even without JT Toppin, Christian Anderson's one of the best guards in the game. I know Tavari Johnson. Everyone's like, this is the guy that everyone's talking. He's the mid-major man going into the tournament. Man, if Christian Anderson, if this team... If that backcourt is healthy for Texas Tech is going to run right through Akron.
All right, well, goodbye Zips. That story lasted for a little bit. I mean, I was hearing a lot of hype for Akron, mainly just because of that shot. That's kind of the biggest deal. But other than that, I mean, going on to Alabama 4th seed versus Hofstra 13. I'm also, not getting cute here. I'm also going to pick Alabama because of the way that they've had success in recent years here. And I do think that they have kind of their mindset to be like, hey, like we've failed in the past. Let's try to make our way back to that Final Four spot. I'm picking Bama here.
Yeah, I'm taking Hofstra. Aiden Holloway went down. Aiden Holloway was arrested. So I know Alabama still has LeBaron Philon. He's still an insanely great player. Aiden Holloway was the 1-2 punch. Alabama already, they're the highest scoring offense in the college basketball, but they're also one of the worst defenses in college basketball. They can't stop anyone. Hofstra, they are an NBA-style team. They're coached by an NBA champion in Speedy Claxton. They've beaten 2 ACC teams. They've beaten Syracuse and Pitt. They almost beat UCF. They lost by 4. This Hofstra team is a real good team. They are talented. And they are the type of team that can take advantage of a team that was 153rd in total defense. Look, guys, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Alabama could come in here and win this game by 40 points. I just think Hofstra knows what they got to do to get this done. They're a disciplined team. Like I said, they play an NBA-style basketball. They're a very good basketball team. They've beaten Power 5 teams, multiple teams. I'm riding. She just stole fucking something. She's limping out because she's got fucking pajamas wrapped around. I don't know what she just fucking took.
Like she's got a Hofstra going to the fucking round of 32.
Yeah, she took my Hofstra jersey. No, I'm taking Hofstra, and so does Ivy.
That's really exciting because honestly, that changed my idea of it again. Where it's like there's a couple picks that in my mind I'm going to take your advice on because I want to be a step further than other people in the way that they're thinking. And I was not thinking Hofstra before, then I'm thinking about it now. That's why the show's important for other people here that I hope watch before the games do begin. But next matchup here, we're going to Tennessee 6th seed versus Miami of Ohio or SMU, which the game's at halftime right now. Miami of Ohio is up 9, 43-34 against SMU. I'm thinking it's going to be Ohio here. I'm not going to make any decisions real quick, but I also feel like no matter who it is, they're going to get their fucking bell rang by Tennessee here.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to win this game. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it a lot. Tennessee has a really good team. They have Nate Ament, who's another really good freshman. He's been on and off this season, but when he's playing right, he's really good. They also have Jacoby Gillespie, another really good player. Tennessee's got a lot of talent. They're a really good team. They're going to make it through.
And we like talent. On this show, we like talent. If you are talented, then you're going to make your ticket very easy for the next round. And how easy is it for Virginia with 3rd seed versus Wright at the 14th? What kind of topics do we have here?
Yeah, so Virginia's a really good basketball team. This is not the same Virginia that we've seen where they've won off of defense. So a really good offensive team. They jack up a lot of threes. They have a really good player in Theis de Ritter. They are an extremely good team when it comes to offensive rebounds. Like I said, they gave Boozer a lot of problems in the ACC title game. Virginia's going to win this game against Wright State, no problem. And then going into the second round, I think they could beat Tennessee.
They could beat Tennessee. Okay, well, we'll get to that point.
I think they do. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you have on that because that's going to be one of the picks that I need help with here.
There are two specialists on ESPN that think Virginia gets to the Final Four.
Interesting. Okay.
They're that good of a team.
I've always rooted Virginia. There's been a couple of years where they were that 1st seed where I've always been kind of heavy with Virginia. But going
they also were the first 1 seed to lose. They were the first 1 seed to lose to a 16.
Yes, exactly. Do you think technically the last upset potential in the round of 64 we have here at the bottom part of the bracket? Kentucky 7th seed versus Santa Clara 10th seed. I've heard a lot of Santa Clara. I have Santa Clara picked because I'm very anti-Kentucky for some reason. I've never been a huge fan of Kentucky. That's personal. But tell me more about this matchup and if you think we're thinking the right way here with Santa Clara.
Yeah, I don't think it's based off of how they played. I don't think it's much of an upset. I think Kentucky's ranked higher because of the name on the jersey. But Kentucky hasn't played, and also Santa Clara hasn't been here since a guy named Steve Nash played for them. look, Kentucky has played like shit. They also have a $20 million roster and one of the better players in the SEC in Otega Owe. Like this team's a very talented team. However, I think we're getting close to the end of Pope's career as a coach. It has not gone well. I know he's a Kentucky guy. Kentucky just hasn't responded. The players have not responded to him. They screwed up letting go of Calipari. He's doing something great for a team in their division now. I'm going all in on Santa Clara here. This is a really good basketball team. They took Gonzaga to the wire. They could play with anyone. They play very fast-paced style. They could shoot a lot of threes, play great defense. Santa Clara is a really good team. I don't think this would be a crazy upset. I think this is a pretty evenly matched game.
Okay, well that's lovely to hear because that's kind of the decision that I made early on with making these picks. Going on to the last game, very last game of the round of 34, we were talking Iowa State second seed versus Tennessee State at the 15. I think it's very crazy to be thinking that Tennessee State's going to be making an approach here against Iowa State because I really like the way that Iowa State plays.
Yeah, they have a true big three. Iowa State's got Milan Mamachilovic. They got Joshua Jefferson. They got Tamim Lipsy. Like, they have a true big three. They do everything right. The one thing they don't do is for some reason, they don't hit free throws. Look, Iowa State, they're not going to lose to Tennessee State. And as I say this, they'll probably lose to Tennessee State. But I think they're a really good. I think the Cyclones are a really good basketball team.
Yeah. What do you think the mindset of Fred Hoiberg is, knowing that knowing of Iowa State and their success?
Oh, I think he probably takes a little bit of credit for Iowa State. He set them up in a really good way. Right? I mean, Iowa State hasn't been bad since Fred Hoiberg was there. I don't think he's thinking about it. I think he's trying.
Of course, yeah, he's definitely not thinking about
turn Nebraska around. I think Iowa State's trying to get out of their own way. This is another team. We talked about Houston. Iowa State's another team where they've had all the talent in the world. They've put a bunch of guys in the NBA. They've won a ton of NCAA games, but they haven't gotten really to a Final Four or won a national championship. So this is going to be a really interesting, can Iowa State get over the hump? So
okay. Do you think they get over the hump versus Santa Clara?
Yeah, I think they beat Santa Clara. I just think they're a better team. I think playing teams that they're probably a little better than, I think Iowa State shouldn't have a problem. We'll see if that free throw situation hurts them as they get into the later rounds. I think I said earlier, I think Virginia beats Tennessee because I just don't think Tennessee, they're a two-man team. So I think Virginia's going to beat them. So we'll see if Iowa State, if the free throws hurt when they play Virginia. But I have Iowa State and Virginia getting into the Sweet 16.
Okay. That's a pretty good pick. I mean, going on to this next matchup that I knew we were kind of excited to talk about, we have Virginia at the 3rd seed versus Tennessee at the 6th. I'm starting to think that Tennessee might have a pretty good matchup here on their hands.
Yeah, a lot of people like them because they have a lot of talent. But Tennessee they're a two-man team, and like I said, Virginia, they shoot a lot of threes. They also play really well on the offensive rebounds. They are one of the better second chance teams. I think Michigan State's one of the other teams that they create a lot of second opportunities. So I know you like Michigan State. That'll help you feel a little bit better about them. This game could go either way, but I like Virginia. I think there's a lot of discord of Virginia getting to the Final Four. I'll entertain that for now, and I'll take Virginia over Tennessee.
Okay, then we're going to keep Virginia.
I think I've also taken a ton of SEC teams.
Okay. I mean, if that's kind of the way you go, again, being a ball watcher, like you understand the picks that sometimes are necessary. Sometimes feel like the right one in your heart, right? And that's what March Madness is all about.
Tennessee is the equivalent of the Los Angeles Chargers, where you watch them in the regular season and you're like, this team could win a fucking Super Bowl, and then they get to Wild Card Weekend and you're like, why did I think this team could ever win a Super Bowl?
And they put up 2 field goals.
Yeah, and they score 25 points in a fucking half.
Yeah,
and they're down 50-25, and you had them in their Final Four. This did not happen to me a couple years ago. And you're sitting there trying not to kill yourself because you put all this money on Tennessee and they can't do shit.
Goddamn volunteers, man. All right, going on to Hofstra versus Texas State. Do you think Hofstra continues their reign of a little Cinderella story here?
Texas Tech, if the guards are healthy, they should beat Hofstra.
Okay.
A little too talented.
Going back to the talent story, right? That's a big thing we're going to get to now. Yeah.
It's a sad it's a really big bummer JT Toppin got hurt. Because if you had JT Toppin playing on this Texas Tech team, and he's going back there with Christian Anderson, dog. This team could have been fucking a national title. We could have been talking about them winning it all. That's how good Texas Tech is. So they're just a really good. They're also a really good team. Like, they're disciplined really well. They lost JT Toppin and they won 3 games against 3 of the top teams in the entire nation. So Texas Tech could beat anyone.
I like that pick. Then I feel pretty safe with Texas Tech. It is a total shame for JT Toppin, because I know it's like I think of more being a young person, being someone that's like in his shoes and having to understand that he's to sit there and watch, or take his focus more on his future NBA career. It's definitely tough, but I'm rooting for Texas Tech here. And going to the next matchup, this is not a football game. We're talking Michigan versus Georgia over here at the top of the Midwest. Do you think Georgia poses a threat to Michigan in their title hopes?
No, I mean, I don't know if I could trust Michigan. I'm struggling with that, because when Michigan plays really well, they're easily the best team in the nation. So I'm going to take Michigan. I think Michigan might give us a little bit of a scare, but I think this Dusty May version of Michigan and with Yaxel Lunenburg, like, this team's just really good. I think they're going to beat Georgia. People also forget. I want to just mention one thing. I know we're at an hour and a half mark already. JT Toppin, JT Toppin is going to lose millions of dollars because of this injury, because it's moving him out of the first round in the draft. So he's going to lose millions of dollars because he got hurt.
It's a shame. It's a shame how, unfortunately, that's the way it goes, and there's no way to adjust for that, because that's just kind of how basketball as a sport goes as a whole. But going into Sweet 16 matchups here, we got Michigan versus Texas Tech, and then we have Virginia versus Iowa State. Tell me which one is the obvious one first, or are neither of them obvious picks?
Virginia and Iowa State, did you say?
Yes, Virginia and Iowa State, yeah.
Yeah, Virginia and Iowa State, I don't think there's an obvious pick here. I think this is one of the hardest picks. I think this is one of... Hold on, my dogs are fighting on the stairs. I gotta get... Dogs are fighting. Okay. No, I think Iowa State and Virginia... I think you got 2 extremely good teams. You got 2 extremely evenly matched teams. I mentioned that free throws is a really big thing for the NCAA tournament, because when you get to this deep in the tournament, if you can't put games out of reach, teams are good enough to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And Virginia is one of those teams. They get so many second chance opportunities. If you're not hitting your free throws, they can get back into the game. With that said, fuck what you heard. Iowa State's going on to the Elite Eight.
Iowa State makes it to the Elite Eight. That's a pretty historic run for Iowa State here, for beating Virginia. You heard it from Danny. And then Michigan, Texas Tech. Who's going to be the partner with Iowa State over there?
Yeah, no, JT Toppin's going to hurt with Yaxel. I like Michigan. I think they're talented. I think they're very, very well coached. I love this regime of Michigan. And everyone knows I'm a Michigan hater. I usually root against Michigan. Fuck. Michigan's just too good, man.
Yeah.
They're going to beat Texas Tech. Also, this is really safe. This is the safe pick. When we talk about safe picks, because if Akron or Hofstra do make it to the Sweet 16 somehow, there's no chance this team's beating Michigan.
That's a good point.
So Michigan getting to the Elite Eight is just a safe pick.
Pretty easy safe pick. But who makes it out? Is Michigan or Iowa State? Who do you lean with? Because I've heard pretty similar things coming from both teams here, but we're talking first seed or second seed, so this can change a lot of people's so-called chalkiness in their bracket.
Yeah, I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to take Michigan.
Okay. I also chose Michigan earlier on because I think that, again, hype, leading through the hype. I think this is a team that's definitely advanced in their skill set. We're here at the most exciting part now, Danny. We are here for Final Four 2026, hosted in Indianapolis. I had the pleasure to go to a Final Four game that was in Phoenix. That was 2 seasons ago. That was a very, very fun time. I was rooting UConn pretty heavy at that point. And we see UConn is back. We have a UConn-Florida matchup, and we have a Purdue-Michigan matchup. This might be some of the most beautiful sports played ever. These 4 teams are going to muscle it out. Let's start with the other side.
This bracket.
Going
this
back
tournament is the best sports ever.
Oh my God! This is fucking holy shit. Houston versus UConn. No, sorry. UConn versus Florida.
UConn gets their. I was originally saying that UConn gets the clap back against Florida, right?
Interesting. Okay.
However, we can't ignore the fact that UConn has played with their food all season long. There's something there that St. John's has been able to beat them twice. Florida already they've beaten this UConn team. I'm taking Florida to get to the championship.
I like that because that's the pick I had already for Florida. I'm rooting Florida heavy because again, UConn, I totally agree with what you said. UConn felt like they were playing with their food, and how serious will they getting into the Final Four here? I think Florida might be a little bit more serious, knowing that they're like, hey, we've won 2 in a row before. It's like, we're going to kick your ass, and we're going to show you that we're going to do it again. Okay, Florida is
this is also, don't forget, this is also pretty similar. This is pretty much the same UConn team that Florida had a game plan for last year that they beat. There's not much of a difference to this UConn team.
Okay. Well, that's actually good to know for people that are wondering kind of what the differences are in a lot of these major rosters, especially these big 4 teams we're talking about in the Final Four. Going back to the other side, we just covered Michigan versus Purdue. This is going to be a very exciting matchup. I like the chances of Purdue here. Michigan being the better team, tell me what direction should I be leaning here?
This is really tough because Michigan had Purdue's number in the regular season. They beat Purdue in Purdue. Purdue beat Michigan on a neutral floor. They beat them in the United Center to win the Big Ten championship. This is so tough. Eventually, Purdue's going to Purdue themselves, and I think Michigan wins this game.
Okay. Again, we have to. That is a weird part about March Madness, is that we do have to kind of also put in the realistic factors of how far these teams knowingly advance. That's how I felt with Arizona. Like Arizona, I always picked Arizona to go really far, and then I kind of growing up made me realize like a lot of these teams do have ceilings, and they get to a point where it's like you can kind of expect them to be knocked out around here. I think that's a safe bet is Purdue versus Michigan. You kind of have to lean Michigan at this point, only because I think Purdue also just bites themselves in the ass a little bit too often around this stage.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed this, and I don't know if the committee did this on purpose. There's a lot of potential rematches from big regular season games. Like they put Vanderbilt and Florida in the same conference. They put St. John's and UConn in the same region. Michigan and Purdue can run into each other in the Final Four. Villanova, Wisconsin, they've already played. It's really interesting how they chose this. But, like, how many times do we see Michigan and Purdue could play again, which is crazy.
That's the world we live in.
And they've already gone at it a bunch of times. So, yeah. But I look, Michigan went to Purdue, which is supposedly the hardest place to play in the nation, and they beat Purdue. So, I'm going to roll with Michigan here.
Okay. This is the moment, Danny. This is all you've studied. We started a podcast. We've been talking about it for fucking weeks. Let's get into it. We got number 1 seed Florida versus number 1 seed Michigan. What is there to know? What is there to know about this matchup?
Yeah, for all the betting people out there, take Florida. However, if you know me, I hate back-to-back champions.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Michigan. I think Yaxel Lenneberg becomes probably one of the most talked about players. He's going to become a March darling at the end of this. I think Coach May finally gets his championship that he didn't get with Florida Atlantic. I think Michigan's going to win this game. But if you were smart and you picked these 2 teams to get to the championship, I'd feel a lot better taking Florida. However, my bias is kicking in here, and I hate when it would just suck to see UConn go back-to-back and then see Florida go back-to-back.
That's a good point, right? Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna say I want to see Michigan win that would be a historic championship for Michigan. Barstool Sports would be you probably will not be able to watch Barstool Sports because Dave Portnoy will be insufferable talking about Michigan, but he'll be loving this. But I think Michigan State, that would be crazy. No, I think Michigan. I think they're going to win the national championship. I'm picking them. I just think it's going to be. I like the pick of Michigan to get to the Final Four because I don't know if I trust Virginia or Iowa State enough. And then once they get to the Final Four, I think I like Michigan and Purdue playing again because I think both those teams know each other. That I think Michigan will have a good game plan and be ready. They score. We've seen them twice do it to Purdue where they just outscore. Purdue plays a really slow-paced game where a lot of ball movement, and on nights that Purdue is not on, it could really, really, really hurt them. And I also think Florida is not nearly as good in the backcourt and at shooting the ball, which I think eventually will hurt them if they get to the championship game.
Okay, well, that's some stellar fucking information you've done there, man. You definitely studied your ass off to get to this point, and you have just. Let's just give Danny a fucking round of applause. You have just made your first world-renowned bracket. You have just made your first bracket that is fully out there for other people to enjoy, for other people to kind of bank off of. And I enjoyed your help as well because I was filling out my bracket is in the same moment that we were talking about it. So I chose Florida. Because I am on the back-to-back train. They fucking saved me last year, so there's no reason to kind of go against them this year. And I'm not a big Michigan guy, and this is why it's so fun is because you can go personal with it. I'm going personal, picking Florida. That's what I'm going to go. But I'm going to do another bracket. I think I'm going to do another bracket where I choose Purdue. I think I let Purdue go ahead and win it.
I don't want to brag.
Okay.
I don't want to brag.
Mm-hmm.
However, it might be the Magic, but I've predicted every single national champion correctly since Kansas. And I only picked Kansas that year because I went to watch them in the Elite Eight against Miami at the United Center, and they won, and I rocked with them. And ever since then, I picked the correct champion since then.
Damn, wow.
Which was 2017.
That's pretty crazy because that's the hardest part for me. I was picking the champions.
Oh,
I got
really?
UConn and I got Florida, but before then, I was. Let's look at it this way. Like, I was someone that was still getting introduced to college basketball. I wasn't watching the full season. I was mainly just watching March Madness. So I was still in that guessing train. I was still in that train where I was like, I can autofill and have fun. But now, since I've started, since I've actually kind of been rooting for teams and understanding, I have been picking it right. So it's a lot about knowing ball. It's a lot about just being, but doing it for fucking close to 10 years now. If you got it right this year, that would be your 10-year mark. That would be pretty impressive, man.
I could give a fuck about that. I would sacrifice that to have a huge first round.
Yeah.
And I only say that because the first round is the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
The first round, when you just have everywhere you look basketball. It's just nonstop. It's just hitting you in the fucking face. I don't understand. I can't comprehend you guys when you're watching a round of 64. When you're watching a round of 64 teams in a huge bracket and you have a heater, you were number one in the nation last year. You felt that. You were on a heater in the first round. The excitement that you get where you're like, oh my God. You start looking at your bracket, you see a ton of green, and you start being like, dude, I'm the smartest fucking sports. I'm Nostradamus in this motherfucker. I've predicted this all. It's the most exciting thing ever. And then also, when you start seeing all your Sweet 16 teams get there, it starts getting really, it gets really great.
Yeah.
So I would sacrifice a championship team for me to have these next 4 days to have a ton of green on my bracket.
How many brackets are you in this year, and kind of what do the payments look like? You doing any paid brackets?
So I just do one.
One.
And then I go to the top 10 national. So this is the one I've just given today. This is the last couple days I've been mulling it over. This is my final bracket.
Okay.
And then I go into 10 groups on ESPN. I go into some high profile groups. I've joined mostly sports. I've joined all the top ESPN ones. I've joined the bracket challenges. So I've done all those. And then I do a couple pools. But then where I make my money is my side bets. I do parlays. I do prop bets. I try to hit the covers. So I do a lot of that.
Share some of those with me. Because I struggle really bad with college basketball betting because I'm not used to basketball betting in general. I'm more of a football guy. But dude, send them when you know you have a lock. Go ahead and send it my way.
Yeah,
I'll join in.
So I'll keep you looped in as we go. It's really hard because like one of my favorite things to do is like I always hate the block when the 1 versus 16 plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like when Duke plays Siena. Like I like always taking Duke minus 27.5 only because like taking Duke minus 27.5 like if Duke gets out to a slow start and they get to like the final 3 minutes and they're only up 20 points, you start being like, you better score fucking don't pull Boozer. You better score 8 more points.
Yeah.
Just get to that, just cover. The other fun thing to do is if you have a like I do this a lot. If I have a upset that I like that team personally, I will always go like High Point or McNeese, and I'll just take them to cover like plus 11.5 against.
That's pretty smart. Yeah, it's pretty smart.
So even if they lose, if they make it a good game, I still win.
Yeah, no, exactly, and you still get to watch some fucking good, honest basketball. That's what this time of year is all about. Yeah, dude. Okay, we're close to 1:45, but I know we have one more topic to cover. Sorry to kind of close it out on college basketball. We're gonna keep talking about it. We'll be back next week. We'll cover all the games. There ain't shit going on right now. We're not gonna talk NBA because NBA is fucking disgusting. Let's talk some World Baseball Classic final for like the last 10 to 15 minutes that we got here. You're one of the biggest watchers that we've seen, that we've talked about. Again, not many people in my inner circle that have been truly invested in this, but for those that have heard, for those that have not heard, Team USA did fall 3-2 to Venezuela. This was just last night, Tuesday the 17th. That was my 27th birthday, so happy birthday to me. But that was a pretty interesting game. Thank you. Pretty interesting game. I did watch it at the bar. You see Harper hit that, and then you think to yourself, okay, USA's back. Obviously this is the way it's supposed to go. 8th inning, whatever, blah blah blah. But USA just couldn't grasp at much. And Pete Crow Armstrong and obviously Aaron Judge is the big topic, right? Mr. No Hands over here, but. Tell me, what's the overall feeling? How big of first of all, how happy are you for Venezuela, if you are at all, and also what is this actually feeling for the U.S.? Does this sting, or is this just like a man, fuck it, like we came in limping, we came in with like bad coaching? Like, tell me more about what your side of this after.
Well, it stings because we lost by 1 run to Japan. We lost by 1 run to Venezuela. We're that close to becoming a team that has potentially 3 World Baseball Classics titles. We would have had the most in any country. Now we're looking at it, and I very vividly remember 20 years ago, the very first one in 2006. The U.S. has only won 1, and that's humiliating. For
our pastime, right? For our best sport? Yeah.
For our pastime. Like, look, Tariq Skubal showed up in a USA Hockey jersey, but he bailed on the team. He said he wasn't going to pitch anymore, which I really don't understand why he couldn't pitch.
Do you think that has anything to do with coaching, with Detroit coaching maybe?
I think probably, like, that's why I'm not going to get too I'm not going to get too crazy about USA players not pitching. But look, the Cubs told Venezuela no more Daniel Palencia. They got to the final and then allowed Daniel Palencia to close the door. By the way, once we got to the 9th, Venezuela was up 3-2 and they put Palencia in. I wanted Venezuela to win.
Okay.
Only because I did not want to go into the season with an injured Seiya Suzuki and a confidence-blown Daniel Palencia. So I was willing to take my national pride a little bit on the chin if it meant that the Cubs were going to have a closer that just got his most emotional save of his entire life.
Yeah, definitely rooting for Palencia. That was another part of it where it's like a little bit of a little bit of hometown heroism. Like you
however,
that,
Mark DeRosa should not be allowed to have any job in baseball at all.
Oh my god, was that a fucking joke, dude? Oh my gosh.
You could talk about Tariq Skubal. You could talk about any pitcher you want. He decided to play Byron Buxton over Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete Crow Armstrong had 2 home runs against Italy.
Yeah.
Pete Crow Armstrong, who is one of your best players, and it was probably had one of the best tournaments for any USA offensive player. Mark DeRosa, I used to love Mark DeRosa because he had a good run with the Cubs. Mark DeRosa should never fucking coach, look at, watch baseball ever again. He is a fucking dipshit.
Yeah.
He is a dipshit. Kyle Schwarber, brother, I know you can hit home runs. Where the fuck were you?
Where was it? Yeah, where were the home runs?
Where the fuck were you? You are lucky you were in a lineup with Aaron Judge because he is taking all the heat. You hit one against Great Britain, and then you didn't do shit for the rest of the entire tournament. So, Kyle Schwarber, dog shit. Bryce Harper, I love you. It was awesome being able to cheer on Bryce Harper. Aaron Judge, dog shit. Can't win the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the biggest fucking bust in baseball history when it's all said and done. Imagine, I say Aaron Judge, imagine if Reggie Jackson wasn't Mr. October. That's fucking Aaron Judge. If he was Mr. Dudtober, that's Aaron Judge because he's a fucking dud. I could keep going. Fuck Will Smith.
Fuck Will Smith.
The actor and the actor and the catcher. Fuck Tyler Glasnow. Whoever that fucking guy was that walked the first batter and lost to Venezuela, he can go fuck himself. I love Paul Skeens. Shout out Paul Skeens. He was awesome. Fuck Andy Pettit. I don't know how his old ass is in that dugout. He's not even a coach. He shouldn't be allowed to be there. Mr. Steroids. You weren't even that good. You had to go into a fucking pitching staff with Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
So you were that. Yeah. So fuck Andy Pettit. Who else should I say fuck you to? Fuck Byron Buxton. Most overrated fucking player in the entire fucking baseball. Fuck Gunnar Henderson. Fuck Roman Anthony.
Fuck Roman
even
Anthony.
Though he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Fuck Roman Anthony. Big ass white kid who fucking can't step up. Yeah, fuck. You guys wore the USA hockey jersey unconsensually, and then you lost to Venezuela. You lost our national pastime. How dare you? The paraplegic hockey team managed to defend this country before a bunch of fucking
no one's talking
500
about
million guys who made $500 million to fucking play baseball. Fuck all of them. Fuck every single one of them.
All right, so it sounds like there's
any American.
Yeah, we're upset at the baseball team. We're upset at the baseball team. Let's flip it though. Tell me a little bit more on...
and more importantly, fuck you, Tariq Skubal.
Fuck you, Tariq Skubal. Okay. Fuck you, Skubal. I could agree with
There's
that.
a reason why I hope you fucking play your entire career in Detroit, you scumbag little bitch.
It's the worst.
And I hope you're never. And I hope you. And I hope you never. I hope you never get to wear a hockey jersey again. And you're in Hockey Town, USA.
Yeah.
Fucking dipshit.
Dipshit. Okay, but tell me before we finish it off. Last topic here. Tell me a little bit about where you think what this means for Venezuela. But this is good for the sport, right? Like, Venezuela winning is technically good for the sport because it means that other countries are going to come in here and invest. I mean, it is, right? Like,
no, it's not. I mean, we just took their fucking. We knocked down their fucking political regime. We defeated their fucking cartel. We can't beat them in baseball. Like, this is.
It's pathetic,
I mean, the U.S. is at war.
This is a cartoon.
The U.S. is at war, and we can't defend our national pastime.
Mm-hmm.
All these USA baseball players should be arrested for treason. They should be shipped off to Iran. I don't want to talk about it. Any of these players, I don't want to hear about it. If you guys notice, that the only two guys I didn't say fuck is Alex Bregman and PCA because in 9 days they'll be wearing Cubby blue. I was very thankful how good of a WBC every Cub player had. I was a little bummed that Seiya Suzuki got hurt. Look, we need to find a better time to do this. I think the best time would be Summer Olympics. Baseball should be an Olympic sport. Make it the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, because it felt weird when there was spring training going on. Obviously, spring training teams and like not having the full roster there. That part I get. I think timing is definitely something that could shift in the future. Also surprised that Japan didn't make it further away. Or the DR obviously. There were so many other teams that I would have expected the U.S. to lose to. Venezuela was not one of those teams.
Brother, it's 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Just push the baseball season back 1 week, and make the All-Star break 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And just have baseball play, and when the Summer Olympics come, just play it in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Get rid of the World Baseball Classic and just play for Olympic gold. It means more to everyone. Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that. I don't know why baseball's not even an Olympic sport. We got flag football in before baseball.
That's a weird topic that we can kind of set for another day, because I get it. Like, it's the Olympics is almost acting as if a lot of the major American sports aren't involved, and they had flag football, and that's like, fuck it. Like, I don't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if this hasn't shown you anything, I know it's our national pastime because we invented it, but baseball is the most competitive, other than soccer, of course. Baseball is the most competitive sport amongst people in the world. Forget Italy. I know a lot of Americans play for Team Italy, but I mean, Mexico's a good team now. Canada's got a good team. Like, they all got really good teams. South America's all really good. So, like, I mean, yeah, soccer, obviously, because it's the world's biggest sport outside of America. Like, America's the only one who, for some reason, doesn't give a fuck about soccer, but everyone else does. So, like, obviously, you're going to have a ton of African teams that play really good in soccer. Like, there's just going to be a huge competition there.
Yeah.
But baseball's right there. I mean, it's head over, way better, way more competitive than hockey and basketball.
No, totally agree with that. I mean,
without Russia, it's just a 3-person team now.
Yeah.
Or four. It's Finland, Sweden, Canada, and U.S. without Russia. And then in basketball, it's Spain, Argentina, America, U.S., France. And Canada now. And France and Canada now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, and Australia.
Australia's also got a pretty good roster. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Giddey scores 75 points for Australia. Where the fuck is that?
Yeah. The Bulls just lost by 30 to the Raptors. The 139 to 109.
Too many games. They were winning too many games.
It's been nasty. I do think I'm heading to the Bulls game tomorrow night. During the games, just kind of watch. I'm going to be watching them on my phone. I got offered free tickets, so I think I'll be heading there. But, D, unless you have any closing remarks, man, I think that was absolutely beautiful. That was one of our most stellar performances for episode 10. Take the floor. The floor is yours for a minute if you need it.
No, Modest scored 19 points. Dude, Modest has been playing really well.
Modest has been playing well, but I'm not gonna go crazy about it, because this is how the Bulls do. Kobe White will have a month of scoring 30. Zach LaVine will have a couple 40-point games in March. This is the time of the year where it doesn't make any sense for the Bulls to be playing well. We just beat Memphis the other day, like,
you don't want to give up too much because you still have young players you want to develop, like Leonard Miller.
Yeah.
Look, I know a lot of people are mad about Ayotu Sonmu. Rob Dillingham almost had a 20-point game today. I said this. If you look at the numbers, they're almost identical. Rob Dillingham's starting to look like a young DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, he's starting to get his footing together. I mean, I think the Bulls are getting highlighted poorly because every single poor highlight is getting shit sent everywhere, but I will give the Bulls a little bit of respect. They have been playing with some authority, definitely within the last few weeks.
And I think I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but I think of the players on expiring contracts that stay, I have a feeling Colin Sexton will be back in a Bulls jersey.
I kind of feel the same way because he puts effort. That's kind of what you need in the NBA. Is you do need a guy that brings effort.
Good 6-man, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's proven himself, and I don't hate the idea. The trade again was like we got him for a pretty cheap, low deal, and like kind of to move assets. But yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, and I don't think we've been playing. Anthony Simons hasn't been playing.
Yeah, Simons has been out, and Ivy's been out. They're both scheduled to return this week, which my guess is that one of them comes back tomorrow.
Leave that man alone.
Mm-hmm. He might need some time in a different.
Let him walk away. Mm-hmm. Let him go. I do not want to see Jaden Ivey play for a Bull in a Bulls uniform.
Yeah. Understood.
When a guy is saying that he's not the same player he once was.
Yeah, you have to, there's different routes for that than being like, hey, just focus on basketball. Like, you'll be okay. Like, start training again. Yeah. But D, holy shit, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're just
the
2-hour mark, and for anyone that has any questions, kind of reach out. We like March Madness isn't over. Like, if you have picks or if you have bets you want to kind of look over, you can always send it to our email. Go ahead and message us on socials. I don't think we have our socials on here, but you'll fucking find us. Fuck it. But yeah, otherwise it's been an absolute pleasure for episode 10. We'll meet you guys back for episode 11 next week.
Park in the driveway.
Park in the driveway. Beep beep.
Let's go.
All right. See you later, guys. Go Florida, I guess, or Michigan.
Miami, Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah. Wait, what's the score? Hold on. I'm just gonna pull up the score.
It's 65-57. I got the game on.
Okay, so it looks like Miami's gonna win.
8 minutes left. Yeah.
All right. Well, cheers, boys. See ya.
Cheers. Later.